Hey guys, thanks for all the the lyrics, the views, all that stuff. Super appreciative. Thank you. Welcome, Nat Mo. I'm going to probably mispronounce it, but welcome, Nat Mo, to the tavern. Grab yourself on a veil, pull a chair, have fun, and don't fireball my tavern. Welcome everyone to Tabletop Tuesday. Hi. Turn down the music some. Oh, I said turn down, not off. Dang, man. Welcome everyone to wonderful Tabletop Tuesday, where we will be discussing D&D shit, because that's what we do here on Tuesdays. We discuss tabletop gaming. Usually with my friend CandidGamera. I don't know what's going on with him. Just double checking with him. What's the best level 1 character and why is it the halfling barbarian? What is actually answer that question? Because that's a good question. Oh boy. Alright, level 1. There we go. Let's turn that down some. There we go. Okay, that's a little down a little much. Go with that. Oh. It ended the song I gave a crap about. All right. Level 1 characters. We're actually going to be discussing that. Topics we had in mind today were just giving you advice on how to build a character in a numerical sense. We've always discussed how to build a character in a storyline sense. Now we're going to discuss the numbers. How the numbers work, how to basically do it, I wouldn't say correctly, but more efficiently. And of course, one of the questions that was asked was, if a new class could be added to 5th edition D&D, what would you want it to be? Well, we're going to talk about that as well. Hopefully, Gamera will get here. I think he's eating at this point. All right, so to answer your question, the best level 1 character and why is it a halfling barbarian? Halflings do have a tendency to have harder to hit. They do have better saving throws because they have that lucky bonus on most systems. And while you do take a penalty to strength in earlier versions of D&D, in 5th Ed they removed that. So the biggest problem you have with halfling is your small and your movement speed. But that becomes kind of a null point later when you get movement enhancement as part of your class. So it kind of works out. You're a short shit that becomes very, very quick. Oh, and if you hadn't seen her in the background, Anne is here.
By kissing their boo-boos and slapping the bitch who made the boo-boo.
Alright.
You can go cover yourself up.
So let me get the quick announcements done really fast, out of the way. Holla at your boy, sending love from the Asgard community. Keep it.
Welcome, traveler.
Keep it rolling, homie. All right, thank you, 10-ply bud. Welcome to the tavern. Grab yourself a mug of ale, pull up a chair, have fun, and don't fireball my tavern. All right. So, the quick announcements is occasionally you'll see kids running around the background. That's my children. That happens. Announcement number.
Trying to get themselves. Rose is trying to get herself. She's on the couch or the table, wherever you left her, or the deep freeze. She's on the deep freezer.
Announcement number 1 is our sponsor for the foreseeable future, Shockbite Gaming Servers. Link is down below. Check it out. The servers start at $2.50 a month and go up from there. Announcement number 2, we always have artists, and my Stream Elements is doing its thing, so we're going to delete that message. Our second announcement is we're always trying to help our artists. We have 2 artists in particular, Broken Looney and Yamek Arts. If you can help them by commissioning them to do any of your D&D art, they're more than willing to do so. Thank you, 10-ply, for the lurk. We appreciate lurkers here, so you have fun on your adventure, my friend. Hats off to you. Oh, my drink is a little off. There we go. I drink and I know things. All right. So moving on.
My wife wants to make an obnoxious comment, but she thinks she'd probably end her for it.
Probably. To you, man, go easy on the mead. Never.
It's iced tea because you don't get to drink.
Yeah, I don't get to drink. My wife doesn't let me drink the mead. I only get to make the mead. So that being said, to answer also the question about the Halfling Barbarian, the Halfling Barbarian, also size in 5th Ed doesn't do as much an effect to damage as it did in previous editions. In Pathfinder and 3.5 D&D, your size did affect your damage. So Halfling Barbarian wasn't the best. In 5th Ed, size doesn't affect damage as much, which means being smaller, being harder to hit, and that penalty to speed doesn't matter. You're essentially getting no penalties and getting a bunch of bonuses for basically being a small, very angry, hairy foot dude. Alright? And the best way to describe what halflings are, if those who...
Pissed off hobbit.
Yeah, it's you're a very pissed off hobbit. You're like Bilbo with anger management issues. And you're going to solve those anger management issues the only way, or so I want to say the only way, the best way known to man, through violence. So, there is that. So, fun times there. I really hope my friend Gamera is okay, because he hasn't replied, and it says he's still playing Stellaris. I think he might have left it on last night or something. Anyway, so that is the fun thing about Halfling Barbarian. We missed breakfast? Yes, you missed breakfast? Rage! Yeah, you missed out, you're out of potatoes? Oh, you rage. Alright, let's talk about Barbarians. Because Barbarians, oh my god, they can be fun. Alright. Let's talk about the numbers game about Barbarians. Let's go with 5e first, because 5e Barbarian tends to be usually what people are going to talk about, and then I'll cover Pathfinder a little bit, including the archetypes of Barbarian that works out. Alright, so let us talk about Barbarian. What are the things we're going to discuss about Barbarian? Well, for one, Barbarian, you have the D12 hit die. What is the D12 hit die? It means you get 1 to 12 HP. That is the biggest amount of HP out of anybody. You get more HP than the fighter. You get more HP than the paladin. Nobody gets more HP than you. You are the healthiest person in the party.
No, not the healthiest. You're the beefiest.
Okay, beefiest. You're the beefiest person in the party.
Hello.
Oh, hey, man.
Sorry, was just running a couple minutes late after dinner, so.
Oh no, it's quite all right, man. I was just making sure you were okay. I was like, shit, did something happen to you? Someone asked a question in chat, and I was trying to answer it. It was, what is the best level 1 character, and why is it the Halfling Barbarian in 5th Ed? And I'm going through why that is, which is like the Halfling negatives in 5th Ed are essentially non-existent. It's like you don't get the strength penalty anymore. The size penalty is only a speed reduction, which Barbarian gets rid of. In 5th Ed, your size doesn't affect your weapon damage anymore.
Right.
So there's no penalty to it. And Halflings still get a bonus to Dex, which is really helpful for dodging. Yeah, you get a bonus to Charisma, but hey, I mean, it helps.
Yeah.
You do get a bonus to your AC for size. You are harder to hit. And you also get I think you still get the luck bonus to saves, if memory serves.
I think so.
Let me double check that. It's been a while since I've toyed with Halfling in 5th edition. I'm going to look that up real quick, because I want to be sure about that. Dexterity increases by 2. Base speed is 25 feet instead of 30, so you're only losing 5 feet. Woo!
Not bad.
Lucky, they get this instead of a bonus on saves. Whenever you roll a 1 on an attack roll, ability check, saving throw, you can re-roll the die.
Which is fantastic.
That's even better than the +1 on all saves. Like, fuck, man. You get advantage on saving throws versus being frightened. Also really, really cool for a barbarian. You can move through a space of any creature that is a size larger than yours. Still helpful for a barbarian. And then you get to choose which kind of halfling you are. There is a stout halfling, which gives you a +1 constitution, and advantage on saving throws versus poison, and you have resistance to poison damage.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah, that is fucking broken. I think 5e. I think in 5e luck is just reroll natural 1. Yeah, I think that's what it is, and that's really cool. That is even better than the Pathfinder variant. All right, so that is hella broken. All right.
I mean, it does seem like it's head and shoulders above most of the other options.
Oh, Jesus. Vincent Death, thank you for the 100 biddies. Thank you for feeding our owlbear. He loves be well fed, and we appreciate you feeding him. Hey, man. Welcome. All right. Saves that barbarians get, strength and constitution. Okay. Constitution's common and are typically problematic, so it's good to have that as an enter. I'm new, and nobody trying to be someone. Hey, man, we take everybody. You're welcome to the tavern. Everybody's somebody here. Strength is very rare. I very rarely had a strength save.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like for like pushes and things like that be generated by spell effects. Is like we can get a strength save.
Yeah. Medium armor, martial weapons will get you a long way. You get no tool proficiencies. Whoop-de-doo. There are plenty of feats and other things you can get racial-wise that can give you tools. So that's not a giant deal. And you only get 2 skills. As a barbarian, skills really aren't your big deal.
No.
You are not a skill character. I'm pretty sure you can have a 19 AC level 1 with a stat array. That is true. You can go 19 AC with a halfling barbarian if you build it right. Rage is also cool. You get unarmored defense, which is dexterity and con. And if you go the stout halfling, both your stat bonuses are going towards your AC, which is damn nice. Reckless attack is also kind of cool. And especially with that lucky ability, you are never going to roll 1. It ain't going to be a thing. Like, that's never going to be a thing. Danger sense, But advantage on a deck save is helpful. Once again, lucky always applies to that. Then we go into primal paths. Oh boy. The primal paths, there are some that are better than others. It depends on what you're aiming for. Path of the Ancestral Guardian is you're not a damage dealer. You are a defender.
Yep.
That is
tanking.
You are meat shield.
Go ahead, man.
I said you're tanking.
You're a tank. If you want to be a tanky halfling, which is funny as shit, you can do that with Path of Ancestral Guardian. You could be like running up to the big dragon who's like 1,000 times your size, look at him and go, "Hit me, asshole!" I'm right fucking here. It is crazy. I don't get it, but hey, it is a thing. And all their abilities are really great for tanking. Like, it's really helpful. Battle Rager, not as helpful. I mean, you get spiked armor, which is not terrible. But there are way better options for Barbarian. I would not recommend Battle Rager.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a chance to play a 5th edition Barbarian yet, so you're more familiar with the subclasses and abilities than I am.
I've played 3. 2 in campaign, and 1 in a one-shot. God, my nose itches again. I hate it when allergies.
Yeah.
Path of the Beast. It's actually Path of the Beast is a good balance. You get a good balance of basically durability and damage output. Which is kind of cool. Like, you start getting bestial traits as you rage. Which is kind of cool. Like, you get a bite, you get a claws, you get tail.
Sure.
And you rely heavily on natural weapons. You also get the ability to take different speeds, like swim speed, climb speed, jumps, whatever. You got Infectious Fury. You can do Forced Attack. You can force enemies. Forcing enemies to attack their allies is really super helpful. And that's what Forced Attack does. Which is kind of neat. You could also make them do psychic damage. Which is the least resisted damage in the game.
Yeah.
So any chance of doing psychic or force damage is a good opportunity if you want to do damage output. Call of the Hunt, great ability. I highly recommend it. The maximum number of creatures you can affect with it at level 20 is 7. So you can give 7 people like a damage bonus and all kinds of crazy shit.
Nice.
And it's 7 allies. So, and that also includes pets, summons, swarms that your casters can summon. All that shit. Oh boy, you can add D6s of bonus damage to your allies. And you could also add it to their spell damage. So, like, the Warlock's Eldritch Blast, for instance, you can give them extra D6s of damage.
Nice.
And that is potent as hell. Alright. I've seen this one I fell into the first time I tried it, and this was the one-shot. Path of the Berserker. Absolute garbage.
Okay.
And the reason behind it is every time you go into Frenzy, which is the subclass's special ability.
Right.
What about sentient magic items? I will get to magic items as soon as we're done with subclasses. That's my next step. As soon as you go into Frenzy, you get a point of exhaustion.
Ooh.
And you only get 6. And the only way you can get rid of the exhaustion is to take a long rest.
Yeah, exhaustion is just awful.
Yeah. Basically, the only way to make this class worth playing is you have to talk to your DM and convince them to rewrite the subclass.
There's a little circle at the bottom.
That's
I wonder if there are any homebrews online where people have kind of fixed it.
Why does it say I don't have an internet connection? I do have an internet connection. Okay, something's going on.
I mean, you're still streaming.
Yeah, I know. No, my Steam says I don't have an internet connection.
Oh.
I don't know why. Because I was updating some stuff in the background. Like lightly. I was asking about the damage buff ability. Oh, for sentient magic items. Sorry, my apologies. As long as it counts as a separate entity, then yes, it would apply to sentient magic items. It has to be a different source. I think Steam crashed their servers.
Huh.
Because it's not connecting to Steam, but I'm connecting to everything else just fine.
Let me see if I got Steam.
Like, try disconnecting from it and then reconnecting to it. And see what happens. Because, like, I was connected to it and then I was trying to update and it says not connected. I'm like, what the hell? It's Tuesday, update day. Alright. Path of the Storm Herald. This is an entertaining class. I wouldn't call it great, but I wouldn't call it bad. It really depends on what environment you build your barbarian to do. Because it's all about the environment build. For example, if you do... if you want raw damage, go desert. If you want defense, go tundra. If you're in an aquatic game, go sea. And those are your three options. It's desert, sea, tundra. They're not all bad. It's just sea is not good unless you have a lot of water in your game.
Makes sense.
Because, like, you get underwater breathing from sea. Sea also gives you single target damage. It's not better than desert. Still allows a saving throw. And then what? Sea also gives you lightning damage.
Nice.
Then there's Raging Storm, which is the other two use bonus actions. Sea doesn't use a bonus action; it uses reaction, which is weird but helpful. You won't be able to make opportunity attacks for the round, but the rest of your attacks will be at advantage against the prone targets. Basically, you knock people down.
Very handy.
Oh, yeah. Now, the next one is the one everybody tends to go for when you build a barbarian. And it's what I built with the other two. And that is Path of the Totem Warrior. It's the most customizable. It is the most meta for right now. And I get that. Like, a lot of power gamers tend to go for it. And I understand why. It is brutally powerful. Alright? And it depends on what level you're going for. You get Spirit Seeker, which is not that helpful. You can ignore that ability. It's the totems you get. And you don't have to take the same animal every time, which is super helpful. For one, if you take Bear at the level 3 ability,
Sure.
you basically get damage resistance to all damage while you're in rage. I believe it. Like totem.
Yeah, I think it's like all but psychic, isn't it?
I think it's like Yeah, I think it's like that. Path of the Totem, Barbarian. Yeah, 5e. I think it's all but psychic. I think you're right. It's something crazy. While raging, you resist all damage except psychic. That is hella broken. You're essentially cutting all damage in half.
There's a little...
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing someone talking in the background.
It's probably what I'm listening to.
Is it? Okay. I could hear it in my headset. That's why I was like, okay. I wasn't sure. It sounded weird. But, like, the rest of the Tome Spirits, don't get me wrong. They're not terrible, but they're not great. Elk just gives you fast movement. Whoop-de-doo. Tiger's just jumping. Wolf is, if you want to track and get some sneak attack, that's cool. Eagle's good for running between enemies. Just need a foil hat. Yeah. Bear is, like, hands down, if you're going to go Totem of the Barbarian, or Path of the Totem Warrior, pick Bear at level 3. It's really hard not to pick anything but Bear. Like, I have a hard time justifying anything but that. And that's just not numbers-wise. That's also, like, survivability. It gives you the option of, like, whether you're offensive or defensive, you have the straight-up ability to pound something and take a pounding. Oh, give me a second. Where's our tissues?
I have no idea. Hands are wet.
Fucking A. They're somewhere.
They may have gotten used as kids.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Nose got really itchy. Allergies are killing me. Level 6.
Is the season.
Yeah, it is the season. Level 6, that's where you get more options. Do you usually start campaigns at level 1 or 3 on 5e? It depends on the group. Some groups have started at 1, some groups have started at 3, some groups have started at 5. For 5e, I usually go for 3. That's a good starting number for 3. For 5e. For Pathfinder, I've usually started at 5. That's just my thing. God damn.
Makes sense.
Aspect of the Beast, which is 6. Bear is not that great. It's carrying capacity. Whoa. Most of the time, most of the DMs I've experienced don't give a crap about carrying capacity. Unless you're, like, carrying the entire dragon's treasure trove by yourself. They're like, hold off. Wait a moment.
However, when you say bags of holding, that goes away.
Yeah, usually when you start getting bags of holding, Hayward's Handy Haversack or the Handy Haversacks, portable holes, things of that nature, that becomes less of an issue. And usually for most adventuring parties, I'd recommend 2 out of the 3 of those. My usual favorites are Handy Haversacks and bags of holding.
Yep.
Never put a portable hole in a bag of holding.
Yeah, never put a portable hole in a bag of holding, never put a bag of holding in a portable hole, and never put a portable hole into a Handy Haversack. Or vice versa.
Right.
Bad things will happen. Eagle, though, is super helpful because dim light imposes disadvantage on perception checks. So Eagle allows you to basically bypass that. It's super helpful. Eagle is... You can see up to 1 mile away with no difficulty. You're able to discern 5 details if you're looking at something no more than 100 feet of you. And dim light doesn't impose disadvantage on your perception checks. That's helpful. Because dungeons tend to be dim.
Yep.
Makes a great weapon. Yep. Elk. Elk's okay. Don't get me wrong. I don't see elk as necessarily terrible. But the problem with elk is it affects overland travel at 6th level. And it doesn't affect your allies.
Ruby, there's one really fun way to abuse the haversacks and the bags of holding. Fly spell, fly up, have it fall of rocks, open it up above somebody, and upside down.
Rocks fall, everyone dies. Yep. I wouldn't necessarily recommend elk, though, at level 6. If you want to turn a portable hole in a bag of holding into a weapon, there are
schematics on how to do it online.
There are multiple schematics online on how to do it. It is fucking ridiculous.
But it's doable. But you said we aren't allowed to do that in game ever.
Yeah. Tiger is really kind of neat. 2 additional skills will help you be more useful. And Wolf only applies to you. Let's see. You can track creatures at a fast pace, and you can move stealthy while traveling at a normal pace. Not terrible. It's especially if you're doing a halfling barbarian, that could be helpful. And then the 14th level ability. Oh boy. Bear is the ultimate tank one, which is hit me. You're forcing enemies to hit you instead of your allies. They can still move away from you, but if they do that, they draw attacks of opportunity. So, this damn nose is going to drive me up a wall. Eagle gives you fly, and a flying barbarian is a terrifying fucking thing.
Yeah.
Especially for the poor wizards, because wizards at that point will easily have fly, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I'll fly away from the melee fighters and I'll be safe. And then the barbarian looks up at you and goes, guess what, I can do that too, and the wizard literally will shit their pants.
Yeah, the barbarian just literally intimidates gravity at that point.
One hit from a barbar.
Yeah, most wizards can't survive a hit or 2 from a barbarian. Tiger, essentially charge your feet but better. Not only can you use the extra attacks that you get, but you get another attack as a bonus action. So, whack, 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 whack. And Wolf is you knock an enemy prone. Whoa. It's kind of the crappiest one. Then we got Path of the Zealot. Path of the Zealot, I've had someone play in one of my games. It's kind of neat. You get some divine damage, which is kind of cool. Like radiant damage. But the big feature on it, I am not a giant fan of. Which is when you die, you don't require material components to resurrect you.
Interesting.
That is their big feature, is they don't require the diamonds and all that shit to resurrect them. They can just cast the spell. But
you shouldn't be dying that often.
Yeah, there are other options that make you not die as often. So it's like, why would I build myself towards this?
Yeah, it seems like a very, very situational.
Yeah, I don't like it. Fanatical Focus is kind of cool, which is you get to, goddamn. I really wish my nose would stop itching constantly, so I don't have to, like, I swear I want to cut it off at this point.
Have you taken the allergy meds?
Yes!
Because it's starting to get into ragweed season.
I know. Fanatical Focus, if you fail a saving throw while raging, you can re-roll it. That is helpful.
That's pretty handy.
Like, would it make worth losing out on the totem stuff? No. Zealous Presence. As a bonus action, you can release a battle cry if used with divine energy. Up to 10 creatures of your choice within 60 feet of you gain advantage on attack rolls and saving throws until the start of next turn. Once you use it, you can't use it again until a long rest. And then you get Rage Beyond Death, which is you're literally too angry to die. Which is also kind of cool.
It's very, very thematic. Always funny.
Yeah. The only things that can kill you at that point are Disintegrate and Power Word Kill. Basically, It has to insta-kill you. Which is terrifying.
Wouldn't Phantasmal Killer work?
No, for one simple reason. You're likely to make the save, because you get 2 saves every time. Jit, hey, what's good, man? We're just educating people on how to build characters. Numbers-wise, not storyline-wise. We covered the story stuff earlier. like I'd say like what 2 months ago.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, we really didn't get into the nitty gritty number stuff. We got into the soft stuff, like the RP stuff.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: you don't have to build an optimal character. You can build a character that's fun and makes sense for the story. You don't have to be the biggest, baddest asshole in the game.
Right. We're making suggestions on how to build better characters. That's all. Or I wouldn't say better. I'd say more efficient.
I mean, mechanically optimal characters, if you want to say that.
Yeah, mechanically optimal's fine. Better characters are ones that fit the story the best. That's the most important. We're just telling you, it's like, hey, these game elements work well. These game elements kind of work shitty. And they may frustrate the shit out of you. And then there's the last thing of path for Barbarian, which is the path of wild magic. Because that's what Barbarians need. Wild magic.
More chaos.
Sounds like a druid on acid.
It's worse. It's far worse.
Have fun.
One, they automatically give Barbarians detect magic in a circle. Hey, Jitja, enjoy your lurk, man. So basically, instead of a little cone view, Barbarians would get it in a circle. This does you nothing, because your Arcana is going to be garbage. Your Intelligence is going to likely be garbage. So, you'll be able to sense that something is magic, but you won't know what the fuck it does.
Which then you resort to Plan B.
Yeah, usually then, as Ann puts it, you resort to Plan B, which is, I am Barbarian, I hit it. Which usually goes poorly.
For it.
Yes.
No, for you in this case, if it's a magical effect.
Crunk smash magic.
Yeah. Then you also got Wild Surge, the Path of Wild Magics. The Wild Magic table is universally beneficial for Barbarians. But you don't control what it gives you. So you're going to have to do some quick thinking. Also, you get Bolstering Magic, which adds a D3 to your attack rolls. Sounds underwhelming, but it's a +2 on average, and it lasts up to 10 minutes, and it doesn't require concentration. This is helpful. Then there's Unstable Backlash, which is you can use your reaction whenever you take damage or fail save. Let me try to remember what the exact wording is, because I want to make sure I'm getting the wording right. Path of Wild Magic. Whenever you roll on the Wild Magic table, Unstable Backlash. When imperiled during your rage, your magic can lash out immediately after you take damage or fail to save a throw. You can use your reaction to roll on the Wild Magic table and immediately produce the effect rolled. Welcome, Oops178 to the tavern. Grab yourself a mug of ale, pull up a chair, have fun, and don't fireball my tavern. So essentially, when you get hit and you take damage or you fail a save, you get to roll on the table and do crazy shit.
Yeah.
It's kind of like having the deck of many things.
Yeah, except it's mostly beneficial.
Yeah.
And then 14th level, you get to roll twice and choose which of the two effects to unleash. So you get some control.
Yeah.
It's not a lot, but it's better than nothing. I would play, like, if I was building a Barbarian, my first pick would, of course, be Totem. Totem is universally helpful. Ancestral Guardian's a good pick. Beast is not bad. I wouldn't be against picking that. Storm Herald, if I was playing in an Oceanic campaign, I'd play that. Thanks, Oops, for the redeem for Smurf check-in, by the way. But the one I would actually probably have the most fun playing is the Wild Magic one. I would try to play that once. Just to see what kind of crazy shit would happen.
Makes sense.
All right.
What's wrong?
Someone messaged me on Skype.
Okay.
I'm not sure who it is. I'm about to find out.
Someone still uses Skype?
Yeah, someone we know uses Skype, and we've been trying to get a hold of her for a while, and
Gotcha.
she's been MIA, so we want to make sure she's okay. All right, so that's the primal weapon, the primal things breakdown, um, ability scores. Let's talk about that because that's important for a barbarian. If you're playing a barbarian, strength. You have to max out your strength because that is your main shtick. You're about big weapons, big damage, big rage. Strength is your friend. All right.
Absolutely.
The second only to strength is con, because you're going to be taking a butt ton of damage because your armor is not going to be very high, and it's hard to absorb the damage if you don't have a lot of HP. And combined, your unarmored defense is powered by con and dex. So, the next one I'd recommend is dex, and then after that, I'd say wisdom, charisma,
Intelligence is your dump stat.
and intelligence is the dump stat. Because intelligence saves are very rare. You don't get any intelligence skills. Your class is not known for the intelligence aspect.
That doesn't mean you're a moron.
Yeah, you don't have to play basically a rock, but don't overly invest in intelligence. That was my suggestion.
I will say that I have noticed that there's a fun spell in Xanathars, I think, called Enemies Abound, which is an intelligence save. You target that on somebody who is like the big, beefy melee guy in an enemy party, and he basically has to treat everyone on both sides as an enemy. So it can cause massive damage and disruption.
Yeah. I'm not saying intelligence saves don't exist and they're not dangerous.
No, it's just a fun spell.
Yeah,
They're just uncommon.
they're just extremely uncommon. Like I said, halflings make exceptional barbarians. Surprisingly, a lot of people don't realize it, but they do.
And it is perfectly acceptable if you're playing a halfling barbarian to have rage issues anytime somebody calls you short.
And now with 5th ed, races are a little weird. Because they released Tasha's, you can literally make any race do anything. Especially stats. So the big thing is, does the race offer any special abilities outside of stats that makes the race good for the class?
Makes sense. Yeah.
Aarakocra, not so much. Aasimar can actually make a good barbarian, especially if you play a Scourge. Because Scourge gives you, the transformation hurts you, but you have plenty of hit points to burn. That's a good thing. But barbarians usually don't handle crowds very well. They're not known for AoEs, usually.
Right.
Scourge's transformation handles AoEs. But also the Fallen and Protector Aasimar are also helpful. So there is that. But I would not use the default stat rules for Aasimar. It's not helpful. Go with the customized origin. So there's that. Air Genasi, it's okay, not great. Bugbears can be really helpful, especially due to the fact that they have reach. That's one of their special abilities, is they get reach because they have stupidly long arms.
Right.
And that is devastating for a barbarian.
Yeah, reach is always great, but a very powerful melee fighter can just dominate with it.
Oh yeah, especially if you go for like a defender build and you use a reach weapon on top of already having reach with your race. Like you
I
are,
can now hit you from 15 feet away.
no, it's more than 15 at that point. You can do crazy shit with that. I think if you have reach of 10 feet and you use a 10-foot weapon, I think it's 20. If memory serves. So that's a 20-foot reach, and you can like use Sentinel and Trip and shit. And
If reach stacks that way, that would surprise me, but you'd be more familiar with it than I am.
let me see. Reach 5e. Let's see how it works. Gains proficiency.
I would say that a reach weapon on a reach guy might give you 15.
Okay, reach only adds 5 feet.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
Yeah. It only adds 5, so they get 5, so it'd be 15 instead of 10. That's still 15, which is insane.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The next one down on the list is centaurs, and centaurs are weird. Like you're gonna have some issues with moving in certain dungeons.
Yeah.
Because God help you if you run into a ladder.
Yep.
You're kind of fucked. But other than that, oh boy, are they amazing barbarians. They get strength, they get con, they get a skill, they get fucking 40-foot base speed already. I mean, and they also get, they get a hoof attack as an extra attack when they charge. So it's just like, you get one free attack when you charge, and barbarians are always charging.
Always be charging.
Yeah, always be charging. Changeling, don't do it. They're no. Nothing they give you is helpful for barbarian. Going on job. Enjoy listening. Gonna spread the Smurf love. Thanks. All right, thanks, Natmo. You have a great day. Deep Gnome can be kind of interesting. It's not great. It's not bad. Dragonborn can be interesting, depending on how you use the Dragonborn abilities. It really does. Dragar, once again, they're like dwarves. It depends on which dwarf variant you go with. You can get definitely some cool stuff out of it. Mountain Dwarf is probably your best bet. Earth Genasi, once again, not great, but not bad. Eladrin, which is interesting. They, fly just literally flew right in my face. I'm trying to remember what the Eladrin special ability is. Give me a second. Because that's the important thing. Alright, Fate answers. You have advantage on saving throws against being charmed, and magic cannot put you to sleep. That is damn helpful as a barbarian.
I mean, that is basically, yeah, the elf package.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't, the elves do not sleep. They're often called elves. They also get a 30-foot teleport as a bonus action.
There you go.
That is, oh god. And on top of that, Autumn, immediately as you use phase step, up to two creatures of your choice that you see within 10 feet of you must make a wisdom saving throw or be charmed. Winner is one creature of your choice that you can see within 5 feet before you teleport. Oh, excuse me. Must make a wisdom saving throw or be frightened. Spring allows you to teleport someone instead of you. Someone else instead of you, but they have to be willing. And summer is when after you use phase step, each creature of your choice that you can see within 5 feet of you, after you use it, takes fire damage equal to your charisma modifier.
Not bad.
Those are all interesting. I think just chatting streams are the best way to really connect. Yeah, I mean they're always fun. I have fun chatting with people. It makes my life way easier listening to everyone else's. Elf. Elf is not that great for the most part. There's once again Eladrin. Eladrin's kind of interesting. There's also the Shadakai Elf, which has resistance to necrotic damage. You'll have that array with some aspects of Barbarian. They also have, once again, a teleportation.
Yeah, that kind of mobility is great for a barbarian.
Yeah. Fairy is bad. I would not recommend Fairy. Furbog, it's okay, not great. Fire Genasi. The Genasis, for the most part, aren't great. Except for maybe Earth. Then you got the Gith, which we got the Gith Yankee and the Gith Zerai. If I'm pronouncing it right.
There you go.
The Gith Yankee is probably the better of the two, if I were to pick one.
You don't have to worry about changing the color.
Nothing of Gnome is any good. Goblin Barbarians, not great either.
They're just more for the lulz.
Goliath Barbarians. They're a standard for a reason. It's really hard to say no to a Goliath Barbarian. They get strength, they get con bonuses in most of their setups. They get cold resistance, they get the ability to reduce weapon damage, or any damage to them. By whenever they get hit, they can roll a d12 plus their con, and they get to remove that damage from the hit once per long rest. Which it
Very
helps.
handy. Yeah.
They also get proficiency automatically in athletics, so you don't have to worry about that. So there is that. Half Elf is worthless to barbarians. It's not worth even considering. Half Orc is stereotypical. We just discussed Stout Halflings, and they're really helpful. Hobgoblin can be good. Hobgoblin is not terrible. I wouldn't say it's great, but I wouldn't say it's bad. Many barbarian subclasses have a way to use their bonus action every turn while raging. They may be not as impactful as the jumping around thing, but temporary HP is also helpful. And that's what the Hobgoblin gives you, is that temporary HP. Human is human for a reason. Human's kind of the gold standard for everything. Kalistar, I would not recommend. Kenku, I would definitely not recommend. Kobold, do not do. Those are all, like, they don't offer any useful abilities. They tend to die way quick. And they are stupidly squishy. Leonins are really great barbarians for the same reasons half-orcs are. You get claws, you get some better skills, and you get the ability to roar at your enemies and scare the fucking piss out of them. Which is helpful. Who the fuck is calling me? I don't even know who you are. Yes, I am. Someone tried randomly calling me. I don't get it. Lizard folk are...
Lizard folk could be interesting.
Yeah, lizard folk can definitely be interesting. They're not terrible. They're not great. I wouldn't say they are horrible, but they don't have anything super special to them that helps. But it works out. The Lolocath also helps. They're pretty cool. The Luxodon. The big elephant people, while they may seem really super helpful, it really doesn't help much, because their natural armor is pretty much redundant with unarmored defense. and a few other fun things. So it's kind of like weird. What's going on here? I have no clue what this person is doing. Okay. Alright. Hopefully they understand I'll be busy for at least an hour. Minotaurs. Really helpful. I'd highly recommend them as a barbarian. If you want to play a monstrous barbarian. They get a good charge ability with goring, hammering horns, gets you part of the shield master feat, which is, you know, hitting someone really hard, things of that nature. Orcs, surprisingly, as much as half orcs are really useful as barbarians in 5th ed, orcs themselves are not. And that's weird. And here's one of the ones that surprised me. Satyrs. If you don't use the classic rules, but use the customized origin rules, you can make a satyr barbarian that is friggin' badass. Because you give them +2 strength, +1 con. Awesome. They get 2 skills. Cool. They get magic resistance.
Nice.
And the Fey creature type, which will protect you from a lot of problematic spells, including Hold Person. Because you still have to affect them like a monster, not a person.
Yep.
That is brutal. Then you get an ability called Mirthful Leaps, which lets you jump really effectively. So it's like, it's really weird. You get this unorthodox kit that you would think would not be that great as a barbarian, but when you learn how to use it as a barbarian, oh boy, you can do some crazy stuff with it. And it is wild. Sea Elf is good if you're going to play in an aquatic game. I will say that as a barbarian. Otherwise, kind of pass. Shifters, they're good as barbarians. They get, like, especially if you do Long Tooth or Wild Hunt shifters. Because you get some cool extra damage abilities. Which helps. You get an extra damage attack on a bonus action for most of them. Tieflings, not that helpful. Except for maybe Winged Tiefling. Because of the flying ability. Other than that, Turtles. You would think Turtles would not make a good barbarian. But in reality, boy, do they make exceptionally good ones.
Huh.
Because here's the thing. They start out with +2 strength. And this is both rule set. Default rules and customized origin. They both get +2 strength. If you go with customized origin, you get +1 con. You get a skill in customized origin. You don't in default rules. Your armor automatically starts at 17 for both. Without a shield.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah. So you could be a unarmored barbarian and just go hog wild. You also get Hold Breath and Shell Defense, which are neat. They're not super helpful, but they're not terrible. And you be able to free it, like you can jump your dexterity because you won't be using it because you'll have your AC from your shell and shit.
Yep.
So it's like, well, damn. That works beautifully. Triton, unless you're an underwater campaign, don't touch it. Vidalcan, not helpful. Don't touch it. Same thing with Verdun, don't touch. Warforged. The customized origin made no real changes to the Warforged, so there's no real reason to discuss that. Default rules, you get an increase to Constitution, a flexible flexible increase which can go to strength, a +1 to AC, some resistances and immunities. Never you need to sleep ever, which means you could be the barbarian that watches the camp all fucking night long. Just make sure you pick up a high perception. Because we all know that that's needed. Right, man?
Yeah, perception's basically of the skills that a barbarian can get. I would say athletics and perception. That basically would be what I would do.
All right.
I can't think of any others that would be, super useful.
All right. So we covered the 5e barbarian. Aside from some basic stuff to talk about for 5e, I'm going to tell you right now, really doesn't hit heavy on equipment. If you're going to pick a background by way for 5e, the big suggestions that a lot of people tend to make are folk, hero, and soldier. I kind of agree with that. Though I have seen Outlander and Sailor, especially if you're an aquatic game.
Makes sense.
For feats, great weapon master, definitely useful for barbarian because you're the damage dealer. If you're a defender, sentinel, definitely. And if you're using a slashing weapon, the slasher feat. Which basically means whenever you hit an enemy, you're imposing a speed penalty on them. Which makes them run away less often. Or be able not to run as much. So combine that with like Sentinel, and you could do some area control, essentially. Other than that, the only weapon I see in 5e that's worth a damn for Barbarian, and I hate saying this because it's the most stereotypical, Great Axe. Because the way one of their abilities works, which is brutal critical, the bigger the damage die is, the more damage you do with brutal critical.
Yeah.
And it's based on a single die. It's not multiple die.
Yep.
So your great sword, for example, which is 2d6, you wouldn't get 2d6, you get 1d6. Which hurts.
Yep.
It's like, damn, man. Like, I really wish brutal critical worked as you would get your weapons damage dice again.
Right.
But that's not how it works. It gives you just one additional weapon die. And that hurts.
Yeah.
For armor, unless you're basically have a shitty dex, don't even bother with armor. You can do unarmored defense and be just fine. If you need armor, though, half plate is probably going to be your best bet. With no shield. You're using a two-handed weapon 9 times out of 10. Other than that, magical your weapon. Maybe a pre-apt of wound closure. And a belt of strength. And occasionally a cloak of displacement. If you can afford it. Or find one. And that's it. 5e is, like I said, not big on magical items. Oh, and of course, a steady supply of healing potions.
Yeah. Always got to have your healing potions.
Have at least 4 or 5 of them. Because you'll need them. Alright, so let's talk about the Pathfinder Barbarian, which is something we both know more about. I feel.
There are so many good options, and you can build it in so many different ways.
Yeah. Well, let's at least cover the base one first. Like, no archetypes, just basic Barbarian.
Sure.
Alright, so the differences between these guys and the 5th Ed Barbarian. 1, you get a lot more feats. And you get stat increases with it. So that's the difference between Pathfinder and just D&D 5e.
Yep.
2, the way your rage works. In 5e, once you go into rage, it lasts as long as you keep getting hit or you're hitting someone. There's no round limit. In Pathfinder, you don't need to be hitting people or being hit to keep it going, but you do have a round limit.
Yep.
And that round limit is based on a number plus your con mod. And
Yes.
certain races get you additional numbers. That's why I said a number. Usually it's 2 plus your con mod and some change. Alright. And then you also get rage powers, which are abilities you get while you're enraged. Some of them are more useful than others. And some of them are broken as fuck. As I have found out. Alright. Let's cover abilities first, alright? Because this is going to be relatively similar but different. Strength, once again, is the most important stat because, once again, you are all about melee. You're going to be hitting things like fucking Mack Truck. Con, you need lots of HP. You need lots of fort. But also, your rage pool is based on your con modifier. So the higher your con, the longer your rage lasts.
You got a 2-stat dependency.
Dex is your third. BB does the thing. Welcome. Hey, man. How's it going? Welcome to the tavern. Dex is your third stat, in my opinion. And the reason why is because, 1, you got to dodge things. 2, you got to dodge attacks. 2, you got to use your reflex save, and you use that a lot. And 3, you're not wearing heavy armor. So your AC is not going to be the greatest in the world.
That's true.
And unlike 5e, where you get to add your con modifier to your AC, you don't get to do that in Pathfinder.
There's probably an archetype that lets you do that, but I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I don't think there is.
Oh, okay.
But you make up for it with magic items.
That's true. Pathfinder does have much more to say about gear.
There are a bunch of traits in the game. I'm not going to go through all the traits about what's good for barbarians, what's not. Your best idea is improve your initiative. If you have anything that helps with damage, do that. Or if you have a particular skill you want, go for that. Oh, God, my nose. Skills. There are 2 skills in Barbarian that I'm going to tell you you need to pick up. And if you don't pick up one of the 2 I'm going to mention, I will reach through this computer and slap
Welcome,
you.
traveler.
Alright. Welcome, BB does the thing to the tavern. Grab yourself a mug of ale. Oh, let me miss correctly. Grab yourself a mug of ale, pull up a chair, have fun, and don't fireball my tavern. Alright? I appreciate the wave to the camera. Hello. Hi. Yep. First skill. If you don't pick up the skill practically on every character in Pathfinder, you're going to have a bad day. Alright? It is the most rolled skill in the game, and unless you have multiple characters in your party that have this at really high levels, it's going to go badly. Perception.
Yeah.
Alright? If your class has it as a class skill, for the love of all that is good and holy, or for the love of the gods, fucking max that out. Like, goddamn. Not every class gets perception, but when you have a class that gets it, use it.
That is your god's.
The other one for Barbarian. And this is going to kind of be weird because you're going to think about it and go, my character's not smart. Why should I pick this? Humor me. Knowledge nature.
Yeah.
It is one of the most rolled knowledges in the game. Arcana, religion, and nature tend to be rolled fairly often. Alright? Local nobility are about moderate, I would say.
It's on the campaign.
Yeah, it's up to the campaign, but like nature is all the fucking time.
Yeah.
It is a very common one. Same with Arcana. Arcana is all the fucking time. Religion is frequently. Because
Yeah, I would say nature and competes with religion very nicely for that second most rolled slot.
yeah, Arcana's most, but
Yeah.
like nature and religion really depends on the aspect of your campaign. Like if you're going against a lot of undead or dealing with a lot of faith, yeah, religion's going to be more common. If you're out in the wilderness a lot, nature's going to be fucking everywhere. And barbarian doesn't get religion, so by all means, take nature, do that. That's important. Um, the next two are if you have the skill points for it, take them. But I wouldn't necessarily be too hurt if you don't take them. Because they're useful, but they're not needed. And that is Intimidate and Survival.
Yeah, also good picks.
Barbarians are really good at Intimidate. They're good at being basically scary. And there is a feat in the game that allows you to use your strength score instead of your charisma to scare people. Like, you're so big and muscly and strong that you frighten the fuck out of someone.
By existing.
Just by existing. Just by standing there like, hi, bitch. Fuck that. And then survival is good for, tracking down food, tracking down people occasionally. You can use that on occasion depending on the situation. There is that.
Oh, one thing. The feat you were talking about, it's actually better than you think because you add your strength modifier in addition to your charisma modifier.
It's on top of your charisma.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Intimidating prowess.
Intimidating prowess, yes. Oh, that is horrifying. My pecs say hello. I can't make
Yeah,
pecs.
there was a tricky build for Pathfinder based on some fear-related abilities where you could essentially, I think, as a free action, intimidate a target, and it would make them helpless, and then you could use your actual action to essentially just kill them. You upgrade your coup de grace so it's doable as a standard action. So you frighten them to helplessness, then you just cut their head off, and then you move on to the next target. So as long as they weren't immune to fear, that was really, really funny.
Oh yeah, it's like
Boo! Ah!
So that one feat I'd highly recommend if you're going to take Intimidate. If you're not taking Intimidate, there are a few feats I do recommend. All right. Power attack. For the love of fuck, you're using a two-handed weapon. Use power attack. It's really hard not to say no to that. For every one attack you give up, you get 3 damage. God damn it, Squiggly, for fireballing my tavern! Alright. Power attack is amazing. Second one. Improved critical.
Yeah.
All right. You take that with a weapon called a falchion, which has an 18 to 20 critical in Pathfinder. You're going to be criticaling a lot. All right? It's going to be frequent.
Yep.
Then combine that with critical focus, which gives you a +4 on your critical hits to hit on them.
The confirmation roll.
The confirmation roll. Because whenever you critical in Pathfinder, you have to roll again to hit, and that critical focus gives you that +4 to hit him again. So you combine that, and it's prerequisite for the critical feats. And there are some critical feats that are amazing. Bleeding critical is a good one to start with. It's not terrible, it's not great, but it's good. Later levels, though, like level 17, you get access to something called Stunning Critical. Christ, is that brutal.
Yeah, stun is an incredible condition to be able to inflict.
Yeah, and if you can inflict it on every critical hit you make, that is deadly.
Mm-hmm.
You are going to fuck up people hard. The next one I'd highly recommend, Blinding Critical.
Yes.
A caster can't hit you with a spell if they can't fucking see where you are. Or they're at least less likely to.
Yes.
So there is that. Another one is called extra rage power, which is you get so many rage powers in the game, it never hurts to have more. A lot of them are amazing.
Yeah, there are some great rage powers to customize your barbarian, to help mobility, to help your damage resistance, just all kinds of fun stuff.
Oh yeah, we're about to go into that here in a minute. But I do want to cover weapons real quick, alright? Falchion is a great two-handed weapon. 18 to 20 critical range, and they're like, everybody's like, but it only does 2d4 versus 2d6 damage. The greatsword's better. I'm like, the critical makes up for it. Especially if you get improved crit. Like, you're gonna fuck up some people.
Yep.
For my bludgeoning weapon, I tend to go with the Earthbreaker.
Okay.
It's a 2d6 times 3 weapon. It doesn't have a crit range other than 20. But it's there for the times where your falchion is not going to be as helpful.
Yeah, if you have something that resists your slashing damage.
Yeah, essentially. That's what it's there for. I tend to build my Earthbreaker to be counter undead.
Yeah.
And my falchion, and also counter constructs.
Mm-hmm.
And my falchion to be like basically I'm gonna kill everything else. Sometimes I'll turn my falchion brilliant energy. And let the Earthbreaker cover everything that isn't covered by brilliant energy.
Right.
Armor, mithril breastplate. It's really hard to say no to mithril breastplate. Until you can save up money for basically the most broken armor in the fucking game. And that's the celestial armor.
Oh, yeah.
It's 22,400 gold. And unless you have a heavy armor proficiency and a dexterity modifier at least +5, it's literally the best armor in the game.
Yeah.
And it also allows you to fly.
That's really the big thing.
Yeah, it gives you a stupidly high AC. You can fly with it. It is fucking broken as shit, and it counts as mithril.
Mm-hmm.
So it counts as light armor. I think it counts. Is it light armor or medium armor? I forget.
I forget. Honestly, it's been a while.
Let me look it up. It's a chainmail.
So
it's light armor. It's considered light armor.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And it allows you to cast the spell Fly on yourself once per day.
Yep.
It has a armor bonus of +9 with a max dex of +8.
Which is just incredible.
Yeah, so it basically means if you max out your dex and you use the armor, you can have an AC bonus from your armor and dex of +17. Nothing in the game comes even fucking close to that. Like, nothing. That is broken as hell. Actually,
Certainly
no,
hard to hit.
Actually, no, the closest one is full plate +5 mithril.
Mm-hmm. If you have the heavy armor proficiency.
Yeah, if you have the heavy armor proficiency. At that point, you would have a +17 AC from that. But you still wouldn't get to fly. That is craziness. And it also depends on your dex bonus too.
Right.
If you have a shitty dex bonus, just go full plate. It's better. But if your dex is higher than 5, like a +5 modifier, fuck it, go celestial armor, man. Like, Jesus. Good gods, man. It's craziness. For rage powers, there is one totem listing that I highly recommend for rage powers. And that's the beast totems.
Mm-hmm.
I think you experienced this, or did you? I'm trying to remember if you experienced this, Gamera.
I'm trying to remember if I've been in a game with a Beast Totem Barbarian.
I've played one, and he was an invulnerable rager.
Invulnerable Rager.
We'll
That
get
is,
into archetypes here in a bit.
yeah.
All right. So the first level of Beast Totem is nothing. It's natural weapons. It's in Pathfinder, it's not great.
No.
Uh, Beast Totem level 2. Let me double check this. Beast Totem, Barbarian, Rage, Power. And then there's Greater. Yeah, I want the basic one. The Beast Totem one is, while raging, you get a +1 natural armor bonus, and it increases by 1 for every 4 levels you attain. So, that's helpful.
Oh, yes. Get that natural armor bonus stacking there.
Yeah, without a magical item to do it. You don't need a magical item to get your natural armor bonus,
Oh, I know.
which is nice. Then there's the Greater Beast Totem ability, and this is what makes it worth it, and this is broken as shit. While raging, the Barbarian gains the Pounce special ability, allowing them to make a full attack at the end of a charge with their weapon.
Yep.
it's like Hi-ya!
Pounce is incredible.
Yep. In addition, the damage from their claws increases to a D8, and the claws do ×3 damage on a critical hit. Whoa. It's more of the Pounce.
Yeah, I mean, Barbarian, you're looking at damage, toughness, and mobility. And honestly, mobility is just fantastic wherever and whenever you can get it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it lets you be where you need to be to do the damage.
And that is horrifying. Then there's the next one, which I highly recommend. This is a level 12 one, though, so you have to wait a while to get it. Come and Get Me. While raging, as a free action, you may leave yourself open to an attack while preparing a devastating counterattack. Enemies will get a +4 bonus on attack and damage against you until the beginning of your next turn. But every attack they do provokes an attack of opportunity from you, which is resolved prior to resolving their attack.
Yeah.
So it's like, bring it. Combine that with a high dex and combat reflexes, and you can jump your Barbarian into the middle of a group, plant your fist on the ground, or your feet on the ground, just yell, "Bring it!" And then suddenly there's a bunch of dead people around him.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very bad day. Is that your family?
Hello.
Um,
Working on canning more green beans, so I had to pick a bunch
Then there's
yesterday.
Elemental Blood, which is bad day, bad day. Oh yes, bad day for the enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Elemental Blood. Let me look up Elemental Blood, because this is going to be fun to explain. There's Lesser, Elemental Blood. There's Greater. Can I get the normal? Yeah, there it is. Okay. So the Lesser Elemental Blood is not that great. You choose an energy type, acid, cold, fire, electricity. While raging, as a swift action 3 times a day, you can imbue your attacks with that energy, doing 1d6 extra damage a round for that one round. It's okay.
I'm not okay.
Yeah.
I will wait. I just right
Now, when you take this, as someone who builds characters, pick electricity. All right.
Less commonly resisted than many of the other types. Yeah.
There's another reason behind it, and we'll get to it. But that's one reason, but there's a better reason later. All right. Elemental Blood. While raging, you get energy resistance 10 against the type chosen when you took Elemental Blood Lesser.
Yeah.
All right. 10 energy resist, electricity resistance, not bad. It's not commonly used, but it's not bad. Here's where I told you to take electricity. This is where it applies. Elemental Blood Greater. You have to be level 10 to take this. While raging, the barbarian gains a special movement type based on their chosen element. Acid gets burrow speed of 30 feet. Cold gets a swim speed of 60 feet. Fire grants a increase of 30 feet to their land speed. And electricity gains a fly speed of 60 feet. Good maneuverability.
Yep.
You're a flying barbarian.
I know.
And that happens the entire time you're raging.
I understand that.
So not only do you get the fly from the celestial armor, you get now the fly from the rage.
I'm as okay as I'm gonna be. I've been keeping
Right.
myself busy.
Hey, Mr. Venjok, how's it going, my friend?
I'm doing better with.
So there's Elemental Blood. I'd highly recommend that.
Get upset. The kids ask why mommy.
There's a bunch of mounted stuff, so that's kind of cool.
And I said, why is mommy's tummy upset? And I told Kenny he could
Um,
explain why. At least to what they
What
can
is?
understand.
Let me try to remember this one.
At least
If you have any that you recommend for rage powers, let me know.
It's been a while.
Pretty well explained why I was dealing with my stomach.
I think you're hitting the high points.
Yeah.
And so Rose asked some questions.
Well, I did play one in To Make a King a while ago, so I still have my notes from that.
Mm-hmm.
Papa's daddy isn't gonna be around very long. She's like,
All right, so there's Guarded
like
Life.
the chicken.
This one is, I feel, really helpful.
But
While raging, if the barbarian is reduced to 0 hit points, 1 point of lethal damage per barbarian level is converted to non-lethal damage.
chicken.
If the barbarian is at negative hit points due to lethal damage, you immediately stabilize.
Danny doesn't really get it, which is fine.
That's
Yep.
helpful.
Absolutely.
And then there's the greater version of it. When using the greater, the Guarded Life power, 1 additional hit point per lethal damage per barbarian level is converted to non-lethal damage. So instead of 1 point per level, you get 2 points per level.
Yep. And that can be helpful for avoiding the problem of the barbarian where you basically you rage and do damage, but because you're still conscious below 0 with certain abilities, you end up fighting to the death, and as soon as you come out of rage, you're going to die. Well, if some of this rage, or some of the damage is temporary damage, non-lethal damage, then you're in much better condition.
And Guarded Life you can take at level 1. Guarded Life Greater is level 6. So those are good early ones.
Yep.
I would highly recommend those for that. Then there's Reckless Abandon, which I gotta remember what this one does. Sorry, I'm looking over my notes again. And it's just like, what does this do again? It's like, what the hell did I do? Reckless Abandon. While raging, the barbarian can take a -1 penalty AC to get +1 on attack rolls. The AC penalty increases by 1, and the attack roll increases by 1 for every 4th level and thereafter. So you lower your AC, increase your attack. It can kind of make up for power attack. It's not terrible. It's not great. If you want to play the type of character that goes, screw it, let's, go nuts, then it's a good thing to have. But if you want to keep your AC high, I wouldn't recommend it.
Right.
And now those are the rage powers I recommend. There's one called Renewed Vigor. It seems like it's kind of neat, but in reality, a healing potion can do better. It gives you 2d8 healing. So there is that. For magical items in Pathfinder. And this is actually important in Pathfinder because you get a lot of these.
Yes.
Belt of Physical Might or Belt of Physical Perfection.
Yep.
And the reason why I recommend those is because the Belt of Strength gives you 2, 4, or 6 strength. Might gives you strength or con, 2, 4, or 6. Physical Perfection gives you all 3 physical stats on one magical item, 2, 4, or 6.
Yep.
But they cost a lot. It's like a fuck ton of money.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh shit, we got raided! Fuck, Thor's raiding us. Hi, Maggie. Hi, Thor. Welcome, everyone.
Very
We're talking
appropriate.
Speaking of Thor, we were talking about barbarians, so of course Thor was summoned.
Exactly.
Jesus. The summoning. Yeah, Maggie, we're talking about how to build a good barbarian for D&D 5e as well as Pathfinder. That is kind of our goal. Though here shortly, since we're done with magic items, we're going to answer the question that was asked of us before stream started, and that was if there was a new class to be added to 5th edition, what would we want it to be? We'll answer that as soon as we're done with magic items. Let me get rid of stream elements. Alright. Actually, in Pathfinder, Thor, armor is a really good idea. There's a special armor called Celestial Armor, which gives you up to a plus 17 armor depending on how high your dex is. In 5th edition, don't even bother with armor. It's worthless.
Yeah.
Other fun magic items in Pathfinder, Boots of Speed, because that's 30 feet of extra movement, and a haste action. Good gods. Barbie, unarmored defense is dex. Yeah, but it's also con in 5th ed. It's dex and con combined. In Pathfinder, I don't think there's... What's unarmored defense? Don't think they have unarmored defense in Pathfinder. They do not. It's not in Pathfinder, sadly.
Now, 5th edition did a lot of things to try and reduce the dependence on gear.
Stream elements should be a mod if you don't want it to be timed out. No. Heretic Sin, I am removing it because it's talking about advertisements that I'm not doing today. I do those on Mondays and Wednesdays. So I have to keep deleting the message from stream elements. In order to keep the sponsor. Because the sponsor wants a 1-day break between the days I talk about it. But yeah, the Boots of Speed, yeah, haste action, 30 foot of movement, that's damn helpful. The Cloak of Resistance in Pathfinder, it is too damn good to give up. I think you agree with me on that, Gamera.
I mean, yeah, cloak. You want good saves, and the Cloak of the Resistance is the most straightforward way to do that.
Oh yeah, straight up, and it's a +5 to all saves at the highest level.
Yes.
The Headband of Havoc. I forget what that does. Let me remember.
Doesn't ring a bell.
Band of stretch animal skins of teeth focuses the barbarian's blood walls. Whenever they enter rage, they select one of the rage powers. For the duration of that rage, the power functions as if the barbarian's level was 4 levels higher.
Oh, it's like a monk belt, but for barbarians. Okay.
Yep. Once per day, when the wearer is attacked and it has to make a saving throw against a hostile effect, they may spend 2 rounds of rage. To begin rage as an immediate reaction. This rage becomes active prior to resolving the attack and triggered, da-da-da-da. Okay. So that's kind of a neat item to have. If you can arrange a large person on your barbarian, by all means, do it. Which is craziness. And other than that, pump up your weapon, make it do a shit ton of damage. And I really can't think of anything too crazy. And other than that, Furious as an enhancement would be kind of cool. And maybe Brilliant Energy for certain weapons, Disrupting for the other version, or Bane.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always hot and cold on Brilliant Energy because it's really cool that it bypasses armor and stuff, but then, against non-living things, it's just useless.
Oh, yeah.
And while you can have here's my golf bag of weapons. Oh, it's a zombie. I'll get out my 9-iron. It's just not really how I tend to play characters. I tend to be like, I want a weapon that's good in most situations, and that's what I'm going to use.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. All right. Why is Solar Hauler calling me? I'll have to answer that later. I'm getting like so popular tonight. All right. So now we got to the last question. All right, and this was the question that was asked before stream started, and we got on this little tangent about barbarians and all that jazz. If a new class was to be added to 5th edition, what would you want it to be? So what is your response to that, good sir?
I mean, I feel like 5th edition has kind of broken classes down into really good niches. They fill their roles pretty well. So I don't feel like there are huge gaps. So really what I would like to see added is more flavor based. Um, like we don't really have an official first party psionicist. And I really think that could be cool to see what they would do in 5th edition for a psionicist.
I mean, we do have monsters in 5th ed that kind of do psionics.
We do, but we don't have like a PC
She's
class.
just being nice.
Yeah.
She just wanted
Yeah.
to make sure I was okay.
Yeah. Hun, can you do me a favor? I just got a call from Solar Hauler.
Okay.
Can you please call them back and find out what they wanted?
Okay.
It's the last number that called.
Yeah, I know.
All right. I could agree with that. I think that's not a bad idea. If I was going to pick a psionic class to go in, maybe the base psionic, like the mystic, would be a good one. That wouldn't be a bad choice.
I mean, I'd love to see more than one psionic class, but like the generic wizard equivalent, but psionics is probably what I'm thinking first. But yeah, like the psionic warrior from 3.5 was incredible. I'm a big fan. The kineticist from Pathfinder,
the
again,
kinesis is amazing.
yeah.
Especially because, like, I've had multiple people always come to me and ask to play a,
It's after hours, so there's nobody there to answer.
Okay, that was weird that they called. Just,
So I sent a text message back. They said to see you called. Sorry. And I was like, you called us. We were returning the call.
yeah.
But there's nothing. So.
All right. I would say Kinesis would be a great choice for the simple reason that I've had multiple people in 5e games I've played in and been the DM of where they wanted to basically mimic Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah.
And the closest thing we have to that is a monk variant. It's like, I think it's called 4 Elements Monk or something.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called.
Sounds right.
Way of the 4 Elements, yep.
Yeah, Way of the Four Elements.
Way of the 4 Elements. And the problem with the Way of the 4 Elements Monk I found is it burns through ki so badly.
So fast.
Like, so fast. And you already have a limited pool of ki. And even at later levels where you can get ki back from a short rest, it still burns through it real quick.
Yeah.
Like, way faster than it's worth. And that is a problem.
Yeah, the game I'm in as a player has a Way of Four Elements monk as one of the other players. He frequently is using most of his ki very quickly.
Yeah, it is a problem. I feel like Kinesis would be a solution to that kind of players. Other fun classes, though, I wouldn't mind seeing maybe Dragon Shaman. With their totems and everything. We kind of have a somewhat similar to that with Circle of the Shepherd Druid, but it doesn't really touch on it very well.
Okay.
because the Dragon Shaman in 3.5 had all these totems where you could plant one down, and they all had different effects. Like one regenerated HP slowly, one gave extra attack, one gave extra damage. They were very much a very utility class,
Right.
and they were very good at it. So that was kind of neat. I notice also 5th Ed very much shies away from the prestige classes.
Yes. And that's probably for the best.
Yeah, that is for the best, because they were really heavily relying on them in 3.5. Almost so much to the point where, like, the first 5 or 6 levels of your class, you're almost a cookie cutter. So
Yeah, just desperately trying to qualify for whatever prestige class you had decided to go for because they were almost all universally better than the base classes.
yeah.
Yeah.
It almost made me feel like, why did you even write any of the classes beyond level 10?
Yeah.
No one's ever going to take it. What else would be kind of neat to see? Let me think. Got to look at my Pathfinder classes because that'll help me remember things. Because seeing the names will remind me, like, things. Maybe a gunslinger.
I mean, I've seen various people try to do a gunslinger with varying results of quality. For 5e, it would be nice to see an official, at least theoretically balanced take on it from Wizards.
Yeah, I feel like the closest one we ever had was probably what Critical Role did with Percy in Season 1. I feel like if they statted his class out as a 5th Ed class, that might be worth it.
Well, I think didn't Matt Mercer release a "Here's my gunslinger"?
I think so, but I'm not sure. I have to look into it. I never saw it. I know Squidgy there would love it if Investigator was in 5e.
Investigator is a fantastic Pathfinder class. The only reason I actually thought of that in answer to the question, but my thing is, for what 5e actually gives you in terms of tools, the Bard does that.
Yeah, pretty much. The Bard does that, or a Rogue.
I mean, I'm gonna say that the Bard is better at it.
Yeah, I could agree with that. The Bard is better at the investigating aspect of it. The Rogue is better at the sneaking damage aspect of it.
Yeah, I mean the rogue is very good at skills. Don't get me wrong, but I'm playing a College of Lore half elven bard in my current game, and I basically wanted him to be a detective. That's what I was trying to do, and I looked at the options, and I'm like, yeah, I can get basically 80% of the skills in the game, and the ones I don't have, I've got Jack of all trades to be at least better than I should be at them. So yeah, it's kind of like I can do everything.
Yeah.
And later on, I think you can get an ability that lets you use your own inspiration die on your skills, sort of like the investigator's skill die. I mean, it comes much later for 5e bards, but it's still very similar, and I would love it to pieces.
Yeah, that's true. But for the most part, I don't see any crazy things. Oh, we didn't cover the barbarian archetypes, but that's okay. I mean,
There are so many we wouldn't.
yeah, we wouldn't get through them in time. A barbarian archetype I highly recommend, though, for the viewers, Invulnerable Rager.
Yeah.
Hands down, it's one of the best ones out there. You give up your ability to detect traps, which, let's be brutally honest, why the fuck are barbarians detecting traps?
Because Conan.
I guess. And you also lose your... What was the other thing you got lost? I forget. There were a couple things you gave up. I love how, like, I've looked it up so many times, I just started typing, like, the first 4 letters and it knew what I was talking about. Oh, you lose uncanny dodge. That's the other one, and that's the one that hurts the most. Is actually the uncanny dodge. You lose uncanny dodge and improved uncanny dodge.
But what you gain is fantastic.
Yeah. So you're gonna be able to be caught flat-footed. You can be flanked. What do you do? But in return, you get half your level as damage reduction, and it's doubled against non-lethal, which means straight up, every attack that hits you is cut cut by half your level, and it's
Yeah.
dr/dash, which means it applies
Correct.
to everything,
Yup.
including magic.
That's not spells, because damage reduction does not apply to spells.
Yeah,
That's
true.
energy.
That's energy.
Um,
Yeah.
But any physical type spells like spiritual weapon,
Yeah.
you could apply that.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
It is brutal, brutal, brutal.
There are
And
very few sources of significant damage reduction that is untyped in Pathfinder, and having that much of it is just incredible.
yeah. And then you also get the endure elements at all times, based on either hot or cold. Okay. And you get 1 point of fire or cold resistance for every 3 levels you have beyond third. That's helpful.
Yep.
Like that's craziness. Things. I mean, what I'd like, because that question it asks like what class we'd like, and we said what class. I mean, is there anything in 5th Ed we'd like to see in general? Like what's the biggest thing we want to see in 5th Ed?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily on point exactly, but one of the things that I had hoped for 5th edition that I have yet to see happen is I'd like to see them do more in-depth campaign settings. Like, I feel like every now and then we're getting a book, and yeah, they're doing Spelljammer this year, and that's great. But like the early efforts, the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, I'm coming from a background of 2nd edition where I had every nook and cranny of the Forgotten Realms at my disposal. Like, if you ask me what do they serve for dinner at this particular tavern in this particular town in Cormier, I could look it up because I know which book it's in.
Yeah, there was a book on everything in 2nd Ed.
And obviously that might be overkill, but I would like to see some more in-depth treatment of campaign settings that are familiar. I mean, like I said, I love that we've got Spelljammer coming back. That's incredible. But I'd love to see more on the Forgotten Realms. I'd love to see Planescape. There's just so much unexploited stuff that they could bring back that I would just love to see.
I remember Eberron got that kind of treatment in 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
It had a lot of detail put into it, especially Sharn.
Yeah.
Sharn had so much detail in it. I mean, it had like what, 2 books to itself? At least?
I don't know. I mean, the whole Eberron line I think had like a dozen source books plus adventures.
Yeah. I remember the City of Towers had its 1 main book, and then it had a second book that was like primarily an adventure, but it went into more detail about what the main book went into.
Yeah.
So it had a lot in it. So there was crazy shit in that. Man, that was wild. I remember those days. Oh man, and I think we covered Barbarian fairly well today.
Yeah.
We'll have to cover one of your favorite classes next week. The Bard.
Yes, I do love the Bard.
Yeah.
Though I think the Bard has grown on me more in recent editions. Like it started being really interesting with Pathfinder, because even in 3rd edition, the Bard was like, okay, it's playable, it's good. I don't know if I love it, but I could see myself playing it and not hating it. and then just in Pathfinder, and then in 5th edition, they knocked it out of the park, and
Oh
I'm
man,
very happy.
they toned it up a lot.
Oh yeah.
It was craziness, especially in Pathfinder. Good Christ.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the Dervish dancer in particular, just for being an absolute blender bard.
Oh yeah, there's freaking blender bards and the ability to have your perform check cover all your social skills.
Yeah, versatile performance was incredible.
That was just like, good God. I could not believe that. It was just like, wow. Like, what the heck was going on with that? Like, I just, like, it just blew my mind. I was just like, what?
Hmm.
And it just, I don't know, man. But we'll get more into that next week, I will say.
Sure.
All right. Oh, thank you. Oh. Apparently, dinner has been provided. Steak and
Huz-
green beans.
Roast.
Huzzah for dinner.
It's roast.
Oh, roast? Okay, roast and green beans. My bad. All right, let us find who we are rating. If someone has a suggestion, we will take that. If not, I have someone in mind. I have, well, a couple people in mind, actually. Try to see what's going on. Trying to figure out who we got today. Oh, shit, that's awesome. Looks like he's playing some sort of shooter game. Okay. Alright. I just had the other person. There we go. It's one of these two people. Alright. The offering has been made. What? Where? Where's the offering? I don't see it. Where's the offering? Oh, food. Never mind. I'm dense.
I didn't say it.
Alright. So we got two choices. Do we want to watch Star Citizen or The Mortuary Assistant?
Wait, Star Citizen's playable now?
Apparently. Apparently it is. It's buggy as fuck as I'm watching someone going like this across the screen. But someone who frequents my channel is playing it right now. It's Max Dadbod.
Okay.
He's doing it. The other person who frequents my channel is Lethal 420. She's playing something called the Mortuary Assistant. So we got that. So those are good options because a lot of the other options are like Fortnite, Dead by Daylight, Apex Legends. You know, stuff that normally we're not into.
Mm-hmm.
So there is that. So we got our two choices. So what is the vote? What do people want to see? Let's see. We know what Star Citizen is. Let's see what the Mortuary Assistant is. It looks like some sort of horror game. Perform embalming tasks while keeping demonic forces at bay. Practice occult rituals to identify demonic entities. Piece clues together. Give me a second. I just had the thing. Piece clues together to banish the demon and save your soul. Uncover a gripping history, the haunting past of the area, since their secret lies beneath the surface. Groundbreaking system that makes every playthrough unique, guarantee you never feel completely safe. Story unfolds in multiple playthrough. Each demon you banish is just a piece of the puzzle. 10 plus hours of content with inquisitive eyes. It says perform embalming, handle various jobs around the mortuary, exercise demonic forces, all in a day's work.
Neat.
And it is creepy scary. So it's up to you guys. Do you want a buggy mess or do you want creepy scary?
I have no preference. Oh my god! I'm playing Stellaris while we've been talking, and I have just apparently hit such a point with my forces that everybody's asking me to subjugate them.
Please, Daddy, step on us more.
Yeah, basically. Two of my nearby rivals ask me to basically do the subject thing, and then I won a war for them, and then two more people are like, "Hey, me too." So I'm like, "Okay."
All right. Well, I do want to thank everybody for showing up. We're gonna raid Lethal, so we're gonna watch Mortuary Assistant. If you are a follower, please raid with the following message. If you're a subscriber, please raid with the following message. Please make sure you're taking care of yourself both mentally and physically. That's important. Please stick around for the raid because that helps you out, get you more channel points, which is called critical roles. And you can use those critical roles to do all kinds of fun things in the channel, including get your own audiovisual entry, like for example what Gamera has. Like that. You can get your own audiovisual entry. You can select what game I play on Wildcard Wednesday. You can get me to sing for you. You can summon some guards. You can ask for D&D advice from myself or Gamera here. You can fireball my tavern again. And a few other fun things. So, either way, tomorrow is Wildcard Wednesday, where we'll be playing some more Dragon Age, because we have to deal with some fucking werewolves. Because goddamn the fuzzy bastards. Alright, so I will see you all tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern. Toodles.